about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Well, we are back on Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. So this article caught my eye. According to the Wall Street Journal, there are patients who have searched in vain for mental health care. They are now suing the insurance company because they can't find a doctor. And I'm wondering if this not only includes those who can't find mental health providers, but even a primary care provider. Joe Green, who was interviewed in this Wall Street Journal article, says that they either don't pick up, they aren't in network, or they aren't seeing new patients. And Mr. Green was concerned that he couldn't lose access to his psychiatric medications. He goes, it was terrifying. You just can't go cold turkey on these things. And he is one of a growing number of patients who have sued their insurance company this past year, arguing they promised mental health coverage that is virtually non-existent. According to a lawyer who has worked on these cases, Sarah Haviva Mark, she said mental health issues have much more cultural acceptance, especially since COVID. One reason these lawsuits are being brought now is people are willing to talk about it. Now, by law, insurance providers are supposed to give you a list of doctors, hospitals, and other providers covered by their plan. Lawyers say that when companies fail to do so, patients end up paying high costs for out-of-network care, delaying care, or opting to go without any treatment at all. If you're going to sue somebody, can you sue Obama and Kathleen Sebelius and Pelosi? Because Obamacare is one of the reasons why we're in this mess. I mean, people who needed me, they had access to me until I had to finally close my practice and go teach. Because, I probably could have lasted another year or two, but with Obamacare and the high deductibles, and people lost their doctor. Now, when you call up a medical office, like, well, we're not taking new patients. See, that's interesting. I can never be a salaried doctor, because if somebody needs to be seen, I'm going to see them. I mean, if they wanted to see me on a holiday, on the weekend, whatever, I'm there to help. I couldn't imagine. But when you're on salary, now you're like, my day is maxed. Sorry. And now, some doctors are incentivized to see more patients. But are the nurses getting that incentive? If a nurse is like, I can't see anymore, I'm tired. I want to get out on time. I got family in town. They're not getting incentivized to see more people. And so I keep hearing this from people, even beyond mental health conditions, just to see a doctor. It's impossible. And that, and part of it could be their fault. And we talk about everything. We got to see all sides of this. When I hear that patients don't pay their doctor bills, the doctor isn't going to continue to see you for free. And some of these patients, I remember seeing them argue that they didn't want to pay the $20 copay or whatever, and then I saw them at the nail salon. Well, your nail job was $35 because I saw you at the register. So you're paying for your nails, but you're not paying your doctor. So, yeah, eventually your medical provider is not going to see if you're not paying. Your medical provider is not going to see you if the insurance has a high deductible and is not paying them. And many individuals stopped seeing their doctor to go and use telemedicine. Well, if it's been a year since you saw your medical provider, for me, it was 2 years before I considered you a new patient. But if it's been a year, you were just there for your yearly physical, that's fine. You're still you were still considered to be, again, a active patient, and we would get you in roughly within same day or next day. We were that fortunate to be able to schedule and accommodate. But the average person, if they haven't seen their doctor in a few years, the doctor's going to be like, who are you? And now you're a new patient and it's harder for you to get seen. So if you had a doctor and you were able to see him and then you wasted that opportunity and you didn't continue to follow up because telemedicine was cheaper, you're going to have a tough time getting back. That's why I explained to you all earlier. I go, if you don't have a doctor, this was like back in the fall, that you might want to start establishing one as soon as possible, because if you're going to need them in the winter, It's going to be a hell of a lot harder if you're a new patient. But now, what do we do with those patients that get screwed when their doctor says, I'm retiring? I'm done. I had a patient who called up who their doctor isn't going to see them anymore. And I don't know if there was, details of, not pain or whatever. But he's like, I need my medicines. And the medicines he was on were controlled substances. I'm like, you got to get that from an in-person doctor. He's like, but my doctor won't see me. So if my doctor won't see me, where do I go? Now you're stuck with, you'll have to go to urgent care. So are insurance companies to blame? If the insurance company promises for the thousands upon thousands of dollars you're giving them a year that they have doctors in your network that you could see, shouldn't they? I mean, if you're paying for insurance, but then you can't see a doctor and use your insurance, should you get your money back? That's something we're going to talk about later. But this is a valid argument. On the other end, I can't tell you how many insurance lists I'm on, and people are like, yeah, are you still seeing patients? I go, I stopped seeing patients years ago, and I notified the insurance companies. So I get that sometimes they have antiquated lists, but for the money these insurance companies are getting, they should be updating their list. The big issue is how do you see a doctor? If you have mental health issues and you have medications, the first thing I would recommend is if you are lucky enough to have a provider that's giving you your medications, you want to have an honest conversation about what happens when you retire or what happens if you close. What do I do so I am not stuck and not having prescriptions? And they understand the way medicine is now. They understand that now, trying to find a new doctor is almost impossible. What I always recommend is try to go to the medical schools. Many medical schools have clinics. And, now I don't know if in my particular area in Las Vegas, Nevada, but I think some of the newer medical schools are opening up clinics. Oftentimes, they're always looking for patients. But it's definitely a bad situation. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Jason, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So I'm not sure if you heard this. This caught my eye, but there is a 14-year-old running for governor in Vermont. 14 years old. He's reached puberty, and he's in high school, and he wants to be the next Vermont governor, and people are actually pretty excited about this. And I'm actually proud of this kid. If elected, he would be the first ever U.S. governor under the age of 18. According to Daily Mail, in 2018, 13-year-old Ethan Sonneborn ran for governor. He ran in the primary in Vermont, but he was unsuccessful. The youngest ever U.S. governor was Democrat Stevens Masons, who turned 24 years old when he began serving his term in Michigan, but that was back in 1835. I mean, can he run for governor? I don't know much about Vermont rules, but we're being told that Vermont is the only state with no age restrictions to run for governor, which means you can even be 6 years old. Now, many states need you to, be at least an adult, 18 years old, and the majority of states, you have to be at least 30 on the date of the election. But 14 years old. Now, do I think he's going to win? Probably not. But I got to tell you, there's this push to have younger individuals And I think this kid is going to go farther than any of his predecessors, because I think there are individuals out there that just want to shake things up. For those people that are a little sick of Bernie Sanders, not that age is the blame for that, but many people want to know, what could a young kid do? I am not a fan of anybody who's not an adult being in the governor's mansion. You are running a state. You are managing a state. You are the CEO of the state. And you are giving orders, and as it pertains to National Guard and protecting cities I really do believe. I like the idea that many states say you need to be at least 30, because you have to have at least accomplished something. But I got to tell you, if this is who the people vote for, if they want a high school student who has energy that's not going to be tainted by the political toxicity and by lobbyists, this kid could go farther. But one of the reasons why he's doing this, and why it's even gotten the attention that it has, is there's an anti-ageism, an anti-older person sentiment. And Biden, unfortunately, was one of the root causes of that. Democrats feel they lost because Biden was old, and that Kamala Harris didn't have enough time for people to see her qualities. I don't agree with that autopsy analysis, but that's what they think happened. I think it was policy driven. People didn't like the policies. They saw the border, the trash, the crime issues, the economy, the COVID vaccine mandates. They didn't like the Biden term. That's my perception. But then here comes Trump. I think he's 80, 81. Here's Trump, and age isn't stopping him. This guy's working. He worked yesterday. It was a holiday weekend. He works. He's got energy. So is it an energy issue, or is it that you think that the baby boomers or the traditionalists are too old school? Where somebody born in the 1940s or 30s does not have the comprehension of the societal needs and changes that somebody younger does. See, Zohran Mamdani won because, one, millions of people didn't vote. I think only 1 in 8 New Yorkers voted. But two, he didn't have the Chuck Schumer sort of, he was he was younger. He didn't mind being shirtless on TikToks. He knew how to hit social media, and he knew what resonated with young people. Things are just too damn expensive. And people are like, he's got a point. Well, yeah, things are too expensive. We've all been saying that. But you have a politician who says, look, I'm going to get you guys free bus rides. I'm going to get you free this, free this, free this. Well, people think that he spoke to them much more than Andrew Cuomo did or Curtis Sliwa. What is the number one issue in New York? You would think it would be national security. You would think it would be jobs. You would think it would be, for people, New York's too expensive. So you got a candidate that ran on that platform and convinced people that he was going to bring down prices in New York. Is he going to do it? Doubtful. The only way you could do socialism or communism is expecting people to pay and put the money to that. And if you don't have people or rich people that are staying in New York to give you your money to do that, not going to happen. But the younger generation does need to have a voice. Look at what happened over the last 10 years. People were calling Gen Zs snowflakes. You think they like that? Look at how people were saying that white males were bad people and that they were what's wrong with society, and not to hire them or give them scholarships and so, you have a lot of individuals out there going, my country hates me. When we're supposed to be colorblind, we're supposed to be gender blind. It's supposed to be, look, we're all Americans. And so when younger people feel like they're not represented, they're going to speak out. That's why you saw so many younger people vote for Donald Trump. They were like, we don't want to be the bad guy. And we don't want to be, we want to, we want everybody to have an equal chance. But we don't want to be told just because of who we are, we don't get a chance. We can't apply. don't even bother. So younger people, and millennials are now, they're not as young as they once used to be. What do they care about? Well, they want to know that their kids are going to be safe. Their kids are going to be secure. They want to know that schools are going to teach them. A lot of the younger individuals are really worried about the school and the education system. They want to know that their kids are going to be proficient in reading and writing. They also want to know that there's going to be jobs for their kids. Right now, it's you go to college, it's a worthless degree. That's what people are thinking right now. Now, some degrees aren't worthless, but they're looking at colleges as scams. They're going to push you to get a degree. They're going to push you to come to your school, spend $500,000, and then you can't get a job. So younger people want to know that they can afford a house, that they can afford food, that their kids are going to get a good education, that they're going to be able to see a medical provider when they need to, that they're going to be able to afford cars. They did not like the electric vehicle mandate. The electric vehicle mandate was ridiculous. I mean, in fact, we're hearing that thieves are stealing the cables. They're targeting charging stations and stealing cables because apparently these are like worth $1,000. So then owners are trying to find a working charger. If they can't find one because they went to a place and they're low on charge, millennials and Gen Zs, they don't want that. They want to know that they could live in their apartment and still get into their car if they don't have access to an outlet on the street. And so we need to think like what a millennial or Gen Z does. But if you're not of that, shall we say, age group or that generation, then you need to make sure you surround yourself with people that do understand that do understand. I mean, Trump is saying he's going to make sure that you're getting money back this year, that you're paying less. He's the big beautiful bill hopefully will make good on that. But if the younger generations don't see that, they're going to vote for somebody who acknowledges how bad things are in terms of their opportunities. I mean, their parents, they went to college, got a degree, got a job, got a pension. My generation, there's no pensions. There's no pension. Most of the people in my generation, Gen X, we worked and then we realized that everything changed and we thought would be at a company for 20, 30, 40 years. Just to see that company go under or people fire you for cheaper staff. And there's a lot of people in my age group going, wait a second, I'm too young to retire, but I don't have a job that is going to make me less reliant on the government. What do older people are concerned about? Older people are concerned about that they're going to be thrown away, that they're going to be triaged out, saying, sorry, no hospital bed for you. That they're going to be not taken care of, where there won't be enough money for Social Security, even though they put that money into the system. That they're going to be screwed out of a lot of things, and that they're going to be considered worthless. So you got to look at what each generation is concerned about. And you got to make sure that their needs are addressed. Not just what you want to do for your political party, but what the average American needs. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hotshot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hotshot Secret. Powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show, 1-877-Doc-Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. So some of you went on vacation for the holiday, and you were worried that if you came back, there would be a squatter in your home. And you have heard of these very scary cases where you come back and there's somebody there, and the police sometimes can't get them out for trespassing because they hold up a fake lease saying, I live here. The owner rented it to me. And you're like, no, we didn't. We just went on vacation, or I just went to Florida to take care of a family member. That's fake. Well, the police, they can only do so much. They're like, well, take it up with the courts. So many of you have been kind of concerned that, when is that going to happen to me? Well, apparently, there is an option. I'm not encouraging this, but this option caught my eye. And it is a man who wields a sword up in Northern California who is helping homeowners evict squatters. Now, he's not slicing them with the sword. Like I said, this isn't something that I am encouraging. But on the official ASAP squatter removal website, and this is being reported by this is being reported by The Independent. Markets Today. By The Independent. They say on the official ASAP squatter removal website, owner James Jacobs highlights a 95% success rate and leverages his combat training and mixed martial arts experience to remove squatters, but those are from vacant properties. He said, we are the only squatter removal service that actively defends your property. While others rely solely on law enforcement relationships, often leading to delays and failed removals, Jacob says we bring real-world combat training and experience into the table. He says our team leader has over 20 years of mixed martial arts expertise, advanced melee weapons training, 4 years of NRA and USCCA certification, ensuring both strategic and physical preparedness for any situation. Now, most squatters, I guess, are not expecting somebody to be there who knows martial arts. They say the average squatter has no melee experience. So he said, I'd much rather make a squatter homeless than have a landlord lose property. Now, I'm not exactly sure what happens, but he said some groups that squat operate as organized crime. And so he is prepared for this with professional-grade tactical gear. He has firearms, ballistic full body armor, flash bangs and smoke grenades, tear gas, gas masks, custom ammunition, and tactical gear. He says with ASAP squatter removal, you're not just hiring a service, you're securing your property, your investment, and your peace of mind with professionals. Now, I don't know how much this costs, but apparently this is something that people can hire. I don't know how much for up in Northern California. Now, according to the Independent, under California law, squatters can acquire title to a building after 5 years, which is much faster than other states. Now, still, I mean, for a squatter to be there for that long, where squatter rights come in is if there's a property that was abandoned, like in the olden days, somebody had died, nobody took care of it, it was just abandoned there, and you take care of it, and you sold the property and farm on it, and you become productive. So the squatter rights happened, centuries ago, so that you would, be productive. But going into somebody's home and taking over their home because you think they're away. And it's not just a vacant property. I mean, these are people. There was one woman who said she had to take care of her mom in Florida. So she was gone for a few weeks. And then a neighbor said, there's somebody in your house. So she immediately flies back and there were squatters there. It's pretty frightening. Now, according to Alameda County Sheriff's Office, they say they handle calls about squatters by responding to all issues locals report. They say our officers will respond to investigate the nature of the call. If our officers determine this is a landlord-tenant issue, the case will be referred to the sheriff's office for further investigation. But the problem is many people then are told, well, you got to go deal with the courts. Now, I sincerely doubt he's sitting there wielding a sword. I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but it's a deterrent. One thing I learned getting my CCW and many of the shall we say, self-defense courses, et cetera, and lectures I went to by law enforcement was you want layers. Yeah, like ogres are like layers. Like onions. Ogres are like onions. Okay, I'm not gonna quote Shrek, but anyway, layers. And one thing that impedes a rapist, impedes a squatter, impedes a burglar, is there being layers. Okay, they want easy access. And if you have obstacles, and they could see that you have obstacles, they might pass. And so you have to look like you have obstacles. Do you have a bulldog or a Rottweiler? Beware of dog. I tell people to put a beware of dog sign even if they don't have a dog. Put a beware of dog. Let somebody know who wants to come to your house that there's a dog. Now, they can scope out the house. I mean, these people who are criminals, they're smarter. I mean, they'll watch. They'll see you go on vacation. They'll see you wrap up the station wagon, right? Like Clark Griswold on vacation, or they'll be studying you. But what you need to do is be smarter than that. Make it look like there's somebody there. And I'm not saying do the whole home thing. Boy, I saw a lot of Christmas movies this year. But you need to let them think that there is layer after layer. That they might be lucky enough to get through one layer, but they're not going to get through another layer. House sitters. That's why some people have house sitters. So it looks like somebody's going to the house. And the house is being lived in. That it's not empty. Have bars up or lights or cameras. And I'm sure they're studying the cameras, but make it look like, they are being watched. And most criminals, if they are of sound mind and not completely psychotic, they will go for a less difficult mark or target. Now, if somebody has absolutely no ethics and no competent mental status, they'll go after whoever. And that's a whole nother issue. But I really think that there's ways that we could protect ourselves. I used to live in a not so good area. I lived in multiple not so good areas because I didn't have money for rent, so I just lived wherever I could live. And I didn't have a car, so I was going to school at UNLV, And I lived in an apartment where 2 girls were raped and killed by somebody who broke into their apartment. I really wasn't happy about where I was living, but it was the only, I rented a room. It was the only place I could be in. It didn't happen in my apartment, but it happened next door. And I used to work at Jack in the Box. That was near the school, and my shift would get off at 11 p.m. And so I had to basically walk, I don't know how many, maybe half a mile to get to my apartment in the dark at 11 o'clock at night. I had pepper spray, but what I decided to do is also walk around with a racquetball racket. Now, I got lucky. I didn't get attacked. Now, maybe it's because they thought, if I had a racket, it would be harder, or maybe it's just luck of the draw. For all those months, there wasn't anybody that decided to target me. But, I did the best I could to make sure that it looked like I had layers. That's another reason why I'd never be alone. Try to walk with other people. Try not to be, out there alone, because, again, people are layers. That's why birds flock together. So if you're going to get somebody, they always say, if you get attacked by a shark, all you need to do is be able to swim faster than your buddy, right? Because the shark will get the buddy. Not that we want them to get the buddy, but just always think about you need layers. And then same thing also with financial distress or job loss, or make sure you have those layers so you don't fall on the ground and level out. Make sure you have these layers where you got this safety net or this safety net, or you got this opportunity. It's really, really important, even like with family. You might say, well, the one person I'm going to rely on, I'm good. I just have that one person. Well, when that one person isn't available anymore, now what? So always have your backups. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show, 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOCDALI. So RFK Jr. and President Trump want to make America healthy again. And make America healthy again, part of that is to cut back on junk food and snap spending on junk food, which I completely agree with. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program should be for supplemental nutrition. Eggs, cheese, single ingredient items, vegetables, not soda pop and candy and cookies and chips and other BS that sadly many people are buying. Give them the actual chicken or fish or whole grains. I think we really need to look at where our SNAP benefits are going and how much of it's going to junk food. But another aspect to this that RFK Jr. wants to do is to cut out the food dyes. And one of the rules is which many states I think have also passed, is to ban certain dyes from school lunches. Red dye number 3, red dye number 40, yellow dye number 5, yellow dye number 6, blue dye number 1, blue dye number 2, and green dye number 3, all banned from school lunches starting in August. Now, I think that's in West Virginia. California has already started this. California started this years ago. They kind of spearheaded this, and I'm glad because it's important. We don't want school lunches to have this, but I believe in West Virginia, they are also banning not only these food dyes from kids' lunches, but preservatives like butylated hydroxyanisole and propylparaben. And those have to be banned from all food items sold in the state beginning in 2028. Now, you would think, okay, this is going to be kind of good because West Virginia seems to, when you look at these states and the healthiest states, West Virginia seems to year after year either be the unhealthiest or in the bottom 5. And so I think this is a fantastic move. Well, do all West Virginians feel that way? No, a judge doesn't. And a judge blocked it. Just blocked it. Parts of HB 2354 blocked it during the holiday week. And now advocates for health and kids are like, what the heck are they doing here? This was Judge Irene Berger, appointed by former President Obama. Now, she didn't like the law. because she said it was unconstitutionally vague because it fails to provide sufficient notice and invites arbitrary enforcement. She says the statute does not spell out how the West Virginia Department of Health should determine whether color additives beyond those specifically listed are poisonous and injurious. She was nominated by Obama back in 2009, and she serves as a U.S. District Judge for the Southern District of West Virginia. Okay, I get that you want bills to be clear. West Virginia's House Bill 2354 was signed by the governor. They want to phase out specific artificial dyes and stages. And I don't know if I'm 100% convinced that there wasn't enough detail, because you would think a simple line item like we're banning these dyes, they need to be phased out by this year, period. And a simple, but most of these bills are multiple paragraphs and pages, etc. And so I'm doubtful that it was not, shall we say, descriptive enough and light on details. But apparently it wasn't the details that she wanted. Well, beginning on August 1 of this year, 7 dyes were banned from school lunches, as well as these preservatives. And the new ruling, her block on it, doesn't necessarily affect the school nutrition programs, because those were already in place. But this is more for, I guess, other food that's going to be sold in West Virginia, where if you go to a restaurant and they have these, I don't know, lollipops that are multicolored, the food has to be of a non-toxic coloring. Again, California has done this. States can mimic what California has done. But people are now, of course, now that we're coming into the midterms, people are saying MAHA is going to cause food prices to go up. Now, this is something that I'm mixed on. The red dye, for example, I think Sudan red had to be blocked, and now some of these other red dyes. According to the Cleveland Clinic, non-human studies have linked the dye to cancer and has linked these to behavioral issues in children. Now, if you're telling me that a 50-cent lollipop is now going to go up to $1, I don't want children being exposed to toxins or potentially carcinogenic substances. But the problem is we have made our food, and the price point has been fairly established, although I'm noticing junk food go up in price, using ingredients that we shouldn't be eating. Personally, you are not going to be spending more if you don't eat the crap. If you eat single ingredient food like lettuce, milk, eggs, and you're not eating Skittles, you're not going to have to worry about the dyes. Now, from what I understand, many of the confectionery companies have already been working on this. Once California dropped the axe years ago, they saw the writing on the wall. So many of them are phasing these out because they knew what was coming and they knew it was going to be expensive. But yeah, they are going to pass the price on to the consumer. Now, Trump has an affordability issue that he is trying to correct from the Biden administration, and just from things just went up in price after COVID. And so if food does get more expensive because the company's like, sorry, we can't use, possibly carcinogenic linked toxins in the food anymore, so you're going to have to pay for it. It's going to be up to the consumer. Do you really want to buy candy and multiple colored cereals? Or are you going to make your kid, a little egg on toast with some avocado and keep the preservatives out of it? We really need to rethink how we're eating. When you go to Europe and you look at their cereals are bland colored. And they're not as sugary. But that's good. It's because they've already banned this. They've already done this in Europe. Why is America so slow to adopt it? I mean, no offense to Mountain Dew, but why is that sucker fluorescent? I don't drink Mountain Dew. I know it sounds like I do, right? Because the caffeine, but I don't drink Mountain Dew because it's fluorescent. I don't want that in my body. Now, will prices go up? Vitamins, cereal, candy, soda pop? Yeah. But will your lettuce go up? Probably not. Will your apple? Will your banana? Now, they are saying that farmers are going to struggle because MAHA also wants to limit the toxins on pesticides. I don't blame them. I think they should. And so I am anticipating that our farmers may be having to, because of the regulatory changes, increase some of their pricing. However, the Trump has given farmers huge subsidies. And from what I understand, he's working with the farmers. And so hopefully we'll be able to stave that off. But if our foods have pesticides, I mean, this is why people keep looking for organic, and we think our single ingredient vegetables and fruits are super healthy, but if there's crap all over them because of what we had to do to limit insects from eating them, I mean, I'm spoiled when I pick out apples or plums or nectarines or whatever. I look and make sure there's no bruise or wormhole or whatever. I want a nice, smooth, unmolested, untainted piece of fruit. Well, in order to get that, sometimes it's waxy, sometimes there's pesticides, there's chemicals on them. So this is something that's long overdue. We're not healthy. We're obese. We have multiple chronic issues, cancer up the yin-yang. We have got to fix this. And I am very, very grateful and in support of Make America Healthy Again. And good for California, Virginia, Utah, Arizona, who has already enacted similar bans. But if, this judge wants to get some, points with the Democrats, she's going to be losing points with the parents. 1-877 Doc Dolly. Don't go away.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.